Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to 𝐂𝐝𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬 Academy, and we are here with one more live session. Hope you are doing fine and your practice sessions are going good, right? Today being a Tuesday, we are going forward with our listening Acuity live. We are meeting after almost, I think, a gap of 1 week, because last week we could not conduct a live session due to some issues, right? So we had ended with a particular section of a test, Cambridge test listening, and we are going to continue with the same thing, right? I mean, where we had ended after that. If you remember, we had ended with section 1 based questions, right? For a particular test, we have started fresh, and we are going to start today with the section 2 of the same, right? So I hope that your listening practice as well as the other module practice are going on well, right? Briefly telling about listening, which I have been repeated a couple of times before also. Listening is based on 4 sections. Listening test is based on 4 sections generally, and it is the same for both the general and the academic candidates. The section 1 is generally conversation, which is on general context. Section 2 again is a monologue on general context. Section 3 is a conversation academic context, and section 4 is a monologue again on academic context. That's how the content goes, and the audio clips which are played for you will never be paused, which cannot be replayed, and it's always accented, right? That's why we always say that when you practice, take different types of accents, accented audio, so that you get used to it, because sometimes the pronunciations, the sound of certain alphabets differ. So on the actual test day, if you go without any practice, that may be something which is quite confusing and new to you, because we as Indians practice a neutral accent. We don't have any other specific accent as such, right? Especially if it's an Australian accented audio or maybe a UK accented audio, it becomes a bit difficult, right? But then listening is not that difficult as compared to the other modules, but then you cannot ignore it. You need to keep on practicing, right? Okay, on that note, let's start with the live session, practice session for today. We are taking today questions from section 2, which will be based on general context, right? And question numbers from 11 to 20, 10 questions we take every week, right? Different types of questions. So before we go to the questions, the audio clip will be played to you, right? Listen to the audio clip very clearly. At the same time, on the back screen, you can see the questions also. So you can solve accordingly with the audio clip when it is played, right? And once the audio clip completes, it's finished playing, then we will come to the questions, evaluate each question numbers depending upon the type, and then go to the audio script. We'll get the justification why the answer for that particular question is this, and that's how we go forward, right? So let's start with the audio clip, which will come to your screen in a couple of minutes.
Section 2. You will hear a man being interviewed on local radio about a plan to improve a suburb called Red Hill. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 13. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 13.
Good morning and welcome again to Your City Today. With me today is Graham Campbell, a councillor from the City Council. He'll be telling us about the plan to improve the fast-growing suburb of Red Hill. Good morning, Graham, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Carol.
Now, Graham, I understand that there has been a lot of community consultation for the new plan.
Yes, we've tried to address some of the concerns that local groups told us about. People we've heard from are mainly worried about traffic in the area, and in particular the increasing speed of cars near schools. They feel that it's only a matter of time before there's an accident, as a lot of children walk to the school. So we're trying to do something about that. Another area of concern is the overhead power lines. These are very old, and a lot of people we spoke to asked if something could be done about them. Well, I'm happy to report that the power company have agreed to move the power lines underground at a cost of $800,000. I think that will really improve the look of the area, as well as being safer.
That's good to know. But will that mean an increase in rates for the local businesses in that area?
Well, the power company have agreed to bear the cost of this themselves after a lot of discussion with the council. This is wonderful news, as the council now has some extra funds for us to put into other things like tree planting and artwork.
Before you hear the rest of the interview, you have some time to look at questions 14 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 14 to 20.
Now, we've also put together a map which we've sent out to all the residents in the area. And on the map we've marked the proposed changes. Firstly, we'll plant mature pine trees to provide shelter and shade just to the right of the supermarket in Days Road. In order to address the traffic problems, the pavements on the corner of Carberry and Thomas Street will be widened. This will help to reduce the speed of vehicles entering Thomas Street. We think it's very important to separate the local residential streets from the main road, so the roadway at the entrance to Thomas Street from Days Road will be painted red. This should mark it more clearly and act as a signal for traffic to slow down. One way of making sure that the pedestrians are safe is to increase signage at the intersections. A Keep Clear sign will be erected at the junction of Evelyn Street and Hill Street to enable traffic to exit at all times. Something we're planning to do to help control the flow of traffic in the area is to install traffic lights halfway down Hill Street where it crosses Days Road. Now, we haven't only thought about the cars and traffic, of course. There's also something for the children. We're going to get school children in the area to research a local story, the life of a local sports hero perhaps. And an artist will incorporate that story into paintings on the wall of a building on the other side of Hill Street from the supermarket. And finally, we've agreed to build a new children's playground, which will be at the other end of Hill Street, close to the intersection with Carberry Street.
Wonderful. Now, what's the next stage?
Well, the final plan...
Okay, so that was the audio clip. Okay. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഓഡിയോ ക്ലിപ്പ് കേട്ടു. സെക്ഷൻ 2 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ നമ്പർ 11 to 13, റൈറ്റ്? നൗ വിൽ ഗോ ടു ദ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്. ഓക്കെ, നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്ക്രീനിൽ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റും. ആൻഡ് ദെൻ വി വിൽ ഡിസ്കസ് ഈച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ വൺ ബൈ വൺ, റൈറ്റ്? നൗ വി ക്യാൻ സീ സെക്ഷൻ 2, ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് 11 to 20. Right? In listening, with the progress of the sections, the difficulty level of the questions also increases. Right? This is section 2, which is the second section. Question 11 to 13 നമ്മൾ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ we can see from 11, 12 and 13 is choose the correct letter ABC. That means it is a multiple choice question, right? Which is a very common question in listening, right? Multiple choice note completions are something which are very common, right? Now, multiple choice, there are two types, single answers and multiple answers. So this is a single answer. Specifically, our permanent instructions, so choose a correct answer, letter A, B or C, any one. You have to choose just any one option, right? If it is multiple answers, they will specifically say choose more than at least 2, 3 and so on. Instructions will be given, right? Then there is a title given, improvements to the Red Hill suburb. And then you have 3 questions, 3 statements have been given. Connected to that, 3 options are also there, right? Each 3 options each, and you have to choose one. So let's take one by one and just get what are the correct answers for each questions. The first one says community groups are mainly concerned about. Okay, so here you have to always go for keywords. You can never go to the audio blank aayittu audio le poyale, it will create a problem for you. So when you have that 20-25 seconds before the audio clip is played in front of you, at that point of time utilize that particular seconds to get the keywords to understand the question. So when you read here, you can see it's given community groups are mainly concerned. So the keyword is here, you are looking for something connected to community groups. The community groups are mainly concerned about either the pedestrian safety, the people who walk on the roads, safety about them, traffic jams, traffic blocks, we all know, increased pollution. That's quite simple, 3 options. So even if they are paraphrased and given to you, it won't be difficult to understand, because these all terms are quite common to us and very simple, right? Pedestrian safety, traffic jams, or increased pollution. So let's see, the community groups are mainly concerned about which one. Now we'll go to the audio script, because we have already listened to the audio. Now, like I told, this is section 2, and here it is there is one Carol. She is telling good morning and welcome again to your city today. With me today is Graham Campbell, councillor from the city council. Now this is something like kind of, it is not a conversation kind of a thing, it is something like which they are interview kind of which is going on, right? Councillor from the city council, he will be telling us about the plan to improve the fast growing suburb of Red Hill. Okay, good morning Graham and welcome to the show. So that guy who is there, who is going to speak about something, he's addressing audience, he's telling good morning. And then, now Graham, I understand that there has been a lot of community consultation for the new plan. Now here you can see the word community, you can hear the word community, it says community consultations for the new plan. Graham, yes, we have tried to address some of the concerns that local groups, now concerns means some of the issues, right? Some of the issues that, and when you see up, you can see all the three are issues: pedestrian safety, increased pollution, and the third one which was traffic jams, right? Okay, concerns that local groups told us about. People we have heard from are mainly worried about traffic in the area. And so here there is a word called traffic, and we have got one option about traffic jams, worried about traffic in the area, and in particular the increasing speed of cars near schools. They feel that it is only a matter of time before there is an accident, as a lot of the children walk to the school. So we are trying to do something about that. Okay, so that is something. Then after that they say another area of concern is the overhead power lines. Okay, we are concerned. Now you can see here it's quite a confusing when you listen to the audio for the first time, and you get only one time to listen to it. You have heard the word traffic, right? And you have got an option called traffic block, traffic jams. So we are mainly worried about the traffic in the area, and in particular the increasing speed of cars near schools, right? They feel that it is only a matter of time before there is an accident, as a lot of children walk. Now this is the word, it says walk, right? Like I told earlier, pedestrians, people who walk on the road. Pedestrian means the people who walk on the road to the school. So we are trying to do something about that. This is where you have to decide which is your answer. So we are trying to do something about that. Okay, so actually they are trying to bring out some solution for the safety of the children who walk on the road because of traffic that these children have got some danger. So they are trying to solve that problem, right? That is how you'll get the answer, which is A. So their concern is not about the traffic. Yeah, they're worried about the traffic, but their concern is about the safety of those kids who walk on the road and who are in danger because of the speeding cars, right? So the pedestrian safety is a correct, and they are mainly concerned about. Okay, there are concerns are many. They are mainly concerned about the safety of those children. So it is pedestrian safety, which is a correct option. Okay. So if you don't look at the question properly before the audio plays, maybe you'll jump to the option traffic jams. Okay, traffic jam is not the thing. They are worried about the safety of the kids because of that traffic jam, because specifically about traffic blocks they have not mentioned. Traffic is an issue, but blocks they have not mentioned anywhere. Okay, so that is the answer for the first one. Second one, it has been decided that the overhead power lines will be. It has been decided, that means the decision has been taken that the overhead power lines, that is another keyword will be what? Either it's extended, it's buried, or it is repaired. Which is the correct one? So we'll go to the audio script. We were just reading till that. Another area of concern, now this is another issue they are worried about, is the overhead power lines. We are dealing with this overhead power lines. These are very old, and a lot of people we spoke to asked if something could be done about them. So this is very old, which is already mentioned. These power lines are very old. Well, I'm happy to report that the power company have agreed to move the power lines underground at a cost of $8 lakhs. That means they are telling that solution for the concern, since the power lines are very old, is that the power company is ready to move the power lines where underground. Right? So they are going to move the lines underground at a particular cost. I think this will really improve the look of the area as well as being safer. Right? So here the word you have to notice, the power lines will go where? Underground. Okay. So what is synonymous to this word in our options? Extended? No. Repaired? No. Buried. Buried means kurichiduga. That means it is underground, right? That is a correct option for this one. It is buried. So the overhead power lines will be buried, nor extended nor repaired. Okay. The expenses related to the power lines will be paid for by. Now expenses, right? Monetary charges related to the power lines only will be paid by someone. Some party is going to pay that. Who are they? Is it the council, the power company, or the local businesses? One of the options. Okay. Nammal cost kandirunnu 8 lakhs at a cost of $88 lakhs. I think that will improve the look of the area as well as being safer. That's good to know. But will that mean an increase in rates for the local businesses in that area? Well, the power company have agreed to bear the cost of this themselves after a lot of discussion with the council. Council is mentioned there. This is wonderful news, as the council now has some extra funds for us to put into other things like tree planting and artwork. So here the power company is telling that they are going to bear the charges, right? And after discussion with the council has some funds, but the extra funds will be used for other things like tree planting and artwork. So for the power lines, the cost is going to be bared by whom? It is not by the council. It is not by the local businesses. It is by the power company, right? So the correct answer for this is power company. Fine? Okay. So that will complete your multiple choice questions, right? 3 questions, not that difficult because the language is quite simple. The only thing is that if you read it clearly, you'll get the answers. Okay, other than multiple choice. Second set of questions like it is label the map below. Okay, map labeling. Map labeling is another, map completion, map labeling is another kind of question which is a part of listening, and it is quite common too. Now here they have given you a map and then they are telling you questions 14 to 20, write the correct letter A to H next to the questions 14 to 20. 14 to 20, ivideyaanu questions. Like after every number they have given you some words, some nouns are there, like trees are there, wider footpaths, colored road surface, new sign, traffic lights, artwork, children's playground, and so on. What you have to do is write the correct letter A to H next to questions. Now A to H ennu parayumba, when you look at this map, if you look here, it's A here, B, C, D, and so on till H. Okay, there every maybe corner or some particular location in the map has been given a label, okay, with alphabets. You have to say and then the the names of that locations have been given from 14 to, not only names, something connected to that, from 14 to 20. Okay. You have to say which of these things are related to these labels. Maybe it's a particular location, maybe it's something which is going to happen there. You have to match it. So that is what is here, it's map label, right? It is about Red Hill improvement plan. Whenever a map label questions come, only before the audio starts, always take a look at the title. Okay, what is it telling you about? It gives an idea when you're listening to the ideas. This is about a Red Hill improvement plan. So there's a plan here, what all improvements they are going to bring here, and the improvements are mentioned from 14 to 20. You have to say which all improvements will come in which all locations. അതാണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. Okay. So നമുക്ക് audio scriptലേക്ക് പോകാം. Before that we have got 20 seconds, so you have to take a note of this. You can see there are some street names mentioned. It's like Hill Street. Hill Street has been mentioned 2 times because there's a junction intersection there. Then one Cadbury Street is there towards this end, Evelyn Street towards that end. Then you have got Thomas Street, Days Road, right? And some buildings, one big kind of structure you can see, and there you can see it is quite dark, but you can see there's a supermarket mentioned here. See, you can see here it's specifically mentioned there, even though it's written dark in a darker shade, right? അപ്പോൾ ഇത്രയും കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് ഈ മാപ്പിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. കുറച്ച് റോഡ് സ്ട്രീറ്റ്സിൻ്റെ പേരും കുറേ ബിൽഡിങ്സും, ഒരു ബിൽഡിംഗ് സ്പെസിഫിക്കലി എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, പിന്നെ കുറേ like different structures, right? Okay, so let's go to the, and then the options are trees, wider footpaths, color road surface, new sign, traffic lights, artwork and children's playground. ഇതൊക്കെ എവിടെയൊക്കെയാണ് നമുക്ക് ലേബൽ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. Okay, so let's go to the audio script first because this is a question. Okay, audio scriptലേക്ക് പോയി കഴിയുമ്പോൾ we have read till planting and artwork. Next, now we have also Graham says, now we have also put together a map which we have sent out to all the residents in the area. So this is a map. Whatever plan they are going to make in this particular area, you can see in the beginning, she says, right, about the suburb of Red Hill. Okay, so you can see the area. And on the map, we have marked the proposed changes. Okay, firstly, the proposed changes have been marked on the map. Firstly, from there changes are starting. Okay, firstly what we are going to do, firstly we will plant mature pine trees to provide shelter and shade just to the right of the supermarket in Days Road in order to address the traffic. So you can see what they are going to do. They are going to plant mature pine trees to provide shelter and shade where. So we can see here our first option says trees, right? So where are the trees going to be planted? We have to say out of these all labels, right? So the hint which is given to you is that where, just to the right of the supermarket in Days Road in order to address the traffic, right? So this is to the right of the supermarket on Days Road. When you look at the diagram map, you can see Days Road here, right? And then you can see supermarket here, which I already told you, right? So right of the supermarket on the Days Road is here, supermarket is there, right on the Days Road will be this option, which is C, right? So that is the correct label where the trees are going to come. Supermarket, Days Road, right to that particular location, it comes C. That is the only area where the trees can be planted. So the trees will be, so the option for, so the answer for 14, the label will be, you will write as C. That is the correct answer. Okay, going forward. Okay, in order to, after in traffic problems. Next, the pavements on the corner of Cadbury and Thomas Street will be widened. That is the next plan. That is the next step of the plan. They are going to widen the pavements, right, on the corner of Cadbury and Thomas Street. So when you go there, you can see here Thomas Street here, right, and you can see here Cadbury Street here, right? And what they are telling is that they are going to widen, they are going to the corner, they are going to the problems on, the pavements on the corner of Cadbury Street and Thomas Street. So you can see if this is Thomas Street and this is Cadbury Street, the corner will be something here, right? Because if you go that side, there Cadbury Street is not, that is Days Road. So this side is Cadbury Street and you can see Thomas Street, the corner is here. So this pavement is going to be widened. Okay, so the answer for 15 will be D. Fine. Okay, going forward. Next one. This will help to reduce the speed. Now in map label, lot of distractors will be there. It's a breather for you. Okay, so this, after that, a couple of lines are a distractor for you. This will help to reduce the speed of vehicles entering Thomas Street. We think it's very important to separate the local residential streets from the main road. So that is where the information stops about the widening of the pavement. So the roadway at the entry to Thomas Street from Days Road will be painted red. So here there are two hints. Roadway at the entry to what? Entry to Thomas Street. From where? From the Days Road. So if you go entry to Thomas Street from Days Road, so when you go up, you can see we have already done Thomas Street is here and Days Road is here. So if you are coming from Days Road and if you want to enter Thomas Street, that means from here you will come, right? This is the location. When you come here, the point is here is G. So that means there is the colored road surfaces, right, which is going to be done at entry to Thomas Street from Days Road, we painted red. So that means it is colored road surface will be, the location will be where the surfaces are painted red will be G. Okay, next. Okay, this should mark it more clearly and act as a signal for traffic to slow down. So then again they are giving the purpose of doing that. That is only for you to listen, because your main purpose is done. One way of making sure that the pedestrians are safe is to increase a signage at the intersections. A keep clear sign will be erected at the, now next one you can see a keep erect sign, because you can see here there's a new sign പറഞ്ഞ ഓപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ്, ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ പ്ലാനിലൊരു ഭാഗമാണ് അവർ ന്യൂ സൈൻ. സോ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇസ് ന്യൂ സൈൻ. സോ യു ക്യാൻ സീ ഹിയർ, then you listen to it. One way of making sure, okay, to increase the signage at the intersection, a keep clear sign, okay, that means it is a signboard, will be erected at where? At the junction. Junction is wherein maybe 2 or 3 roads meet, right? At the junction of Evelyn Street and Hill Street, to enable traffic to exit at all times. Now where is the traffic going, where is the signboard going to come? They are giving you a hint. At the junction of what? 2 roads, Evelyn Street and Hill Street. So നമുക്ക് Evelyn Street track ചെയ്യാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടാവില്ല, കാരണം അത് കിടക്കുന്ന ഒരു കോർണറിലാണ്. You can see here, this is the one, right? Fine. So what they are telling, the junction, that means Evelyn Street to Hill Street to മാറ്റ് ആവുന്ന സ്ഥലം, ഇൻ്റർസെക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ് ആ ജംഗ്ഷൻ. ആ ജംഗ്ഷനിലാണ് ഈ സൈൻ ബോർഡ് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഹിൽ സ്ട്രീറ്റ് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ എവലിൻ സ്ട്രീറ്റിനെ ഹിൽ സ്ട്രീറ്റ് മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്ഥലം ബി ആണ്. വേറെ എവിടെയോ ലൊക്കേഷൻ നമുക്ക് കാണാം. ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ക്വൈറ്റ് സിമ്പിൾ ടു ഗെറ്റ്. ദാറ്റ്സ് വൈ the particular signage is going, not signage, sorry, yeah, the new sign, sorry, there's a signage which will come at point B. So this is the option for new sign which is reached till Evelyn and Hill Street. Okay. Something we are planning to do to help control the flow of traffic in the area. Now next is, you can see the option is traffic lights. Next option we are looking for is traffic lights, because when it comes to the questions in listening, as the order of the audio will be the order of the questions, right? That you can be assured of. So next is what? Something we are planning to do to help the control the flow of traffic in the area is to install traffic lights halfway down. So we are going to install traffic lights. Next നമ്മുടെ other option തന്നെയാണ് traffic light. Traffic lights halfway down Hill Street where it crosses Days Road. അപ്പോൾ എവിടെയാണ് ഈ ട്രാഫിക് വരുന്നത്? halfway down Hill Street where it crosses Days Road. ഇത് തരാൻ കാരണം എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ, you can see here Hill Street is mentioned in 2 places. This whole is Hill Street, right? So when you go down, you can see that at a place where halfway it crosses the Days Road. അതായത് ഈ ഫുള്ള് കാണുന്നത് ഈ മൊത്തം ആ സ്ട്രീറ്റാണ്. ഓക്കെ, പക്ഷേ അതിൻ്റെ പകുതി എത്തുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ഡേയ്സ് റോഡിലേക്ക് ക്രോസ് ആവുന്ന പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ ലൊക്കേഷനിലാണ് ഈ ട്രാഫിക് ലൈറ്റ് വരുന്നത്. ടു clear out your confusion, that is actually a hint in the audio we say. It is to install traffic lights halfway down Hill Street. ആ റോഡ് പൂർത്തിയാവുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് അതിൻ്റെ പകുതി എത്തുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ അത് ഡേയ്സ് റോഡിലേക്ക് ക്രോസ് ആവുന്ന ലൊക്കേഷനിലാണ് ഈ ട്രാഫിക് ലൈറ്റ് വരുന്നതെന്നാണ് അവർ ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ഹാഫ് വേ ഡൗൺ ദ ഹിൽ സ്ട്രീറ്റ് വെർ ഇറ്റ് ക്രോസസ് ഡേയ്സ് റോഡ്, ഇഫ് യു ഗോ ദർ, ദ ലൊക്കേഷൻ വിച്ച് when it comes to Days Road, like if you see, if you're coming from Hill Street from either sides, when you come, you can see here it is, we are going to Days Road like this. This is the location F, right? So the traffic lights are going to come at the location which is F. Okay, fine. So that clears that section. Next comes two more options are there. The next one we have is artwork and then children's playground, right? So let's see where these things are going to come in this particular plan. Now, we haven't only thought about the cars and traffic. Of course, there's also something for the children. So we are looking actually for the children's park and artwork, right? We are going to get school children in the area to research a local story, the life of a local sports hero perhaps, and an artist will incorporate. Now artist, we have got something called an artwork also, right, which will incorporate that story into paintings on the where. Now artwork can be anything. Here it is specifically told paintings, right, on the wall of a building. Where? On the wall of a building on the other side of Hill Street from the supermarket. Okay, now you can see when you go to that particular map, you can see lot of buildings are there, right, where E is there marked, A is marked, then H, D, everywhere buildings are there. Supermarket we already saw. So where are these paintings going to come? Now which building is it? How will you decide is that they're giving you a hint in that particular piece of audio that on the wall of a building on the other side of Hill Street, Hill Street ne matte vashathu we'll see from the supermarket. Namukku Hill Street we can see that it has got, the Hill Street is from here also it is Hill Street, here also it is Hill Street, and രണ്ട് ഈ സൈഡിലും രണ്ട് ബിൽഡിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്, ആ സൈഡിലും രണ്ട് ബിൽഡിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ which building? They are giving you a hint that Hill Street, on the building on Hill, which is on the other side of Hill Street, to the supermarket. Supermarket is this side, Hill Street is here. That means opposite le കാണുന്നത് ഈ ബിൽഡിംഗ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, right? If you look at the hint in the audio, they say that building on the other side of Hill Street from the supermarket. So hint is the word here, supermarket. So that will make clear that the building is actually, if this is supermarket, this is Hill Street, opposite to that is this building which is A. Okay, so your answer for artwork will be A. The artwork is going to come in that particular building, right? Last option is for children's playground. When we go forward, you can see, and finally we have agreed to build a new children's playground. So that is what we are going to look for, where it is, which will be at the other end of Hill Street, close to the intersection with Carberry Street. So if all your answers are correct and if you're confident about that, there's only one option that remains. If not, then it will be, let me explain how, which will be the other end of the Hill Street, close to the intersection with Carberry Street. Upper Hill Street na one side building we already chose, one side remaining is this one, intersection to Carberry Street is this one, right? That means the location is this one. There's nothing else that remains also, that is another thing, right? So that's why this particular thing is to Hill Street, nothing else remains. To this side, other side, yes, we have got an options called to Thomas Street and all, but when Hill Street is specifically given, A is already taken, F is already taken, anyways F will be in center, so that will not come. They're specifically telling about opposite to Hill Street, and that is E. So the option for children's playground is E. Okay, so that completes the label. Actually it looks, even though the map looks very simple, right, it is not that difficult when it looks, but when if you don't take a note of the audio piece when it is played, because you can see there are a lot of there are a lot of streets name mentioned, intersection points are there, informations are very less because they have only mentioned certain street names and some labels and one building. Okay, so that's why this kind of map, you have to be very focused, right? You have to hold your pencil from where your audio starts. The moment the audio starts and from which point you're moving, your pencil should move accordingly with the audio. Then only you'll be able to track the answers. And you have to be very clear when they're specifically giving you locations like intersections, opposite to something, on the something, junctions. All these words are which will help you track the answer very quickly, right? So after that, Carol says, wonderful. Now what's the next stage? Well, the final plan, and that's how the audio ends. Okay, so this were the questions for today. 3 multiple choice questions which were not difficult. However, the map label, which was not that difficult, but if the focus is not there, it may sound very complicated, right? So I hope that it was clear what all we discussed today with this section 2 questions. Okay, we will meet again next week with our another section of question, most probably section 3 of this particular test itself. That's how we continue with our sessions, right? Till we meet again next week, I hope that you keep on practicing with your listening module and also with all the other modules, and we are there to always give you a helping hand. So be there with us and keep practicing well. Keep yourself safe and have a good day.